I'll just continue to be amazed that this guy gets this kind of bread. And I understand that he is supposedly a starting quarterback, but somebody's going to have to convince me that Lamar Jackson's a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, because I haven't seen it. And I'll continue to sit on this show until he is. He's not. And when I need a guy to stand in the pocket and deliver a football, I'm not picking Lamar Jackson. I'm probably not picking him top 10 in the NFL. And at some point, somebody's going to get on board with the fact that when you pay a quarterback $60 million a year, which is insane money for a quarterback who has not been able to pass you to a championship, and he's had the weapons, he's had the opportunity, he's had the offensive line, and the Baltimore Ravens keep giving Lamar Jackson money. Is he a gifted runner? Yes. Has he improved his throwing? No question. Do you want to hand the ball to Lamar Jackson and ask him to throw you to a Super Bowl, Jake? Because I certainly do not.
Yeah, I mean, the answer is hell no. Hell no. And he hasn't shown the ability to do it. Now, here's the problem. I don't think that this conversation is anymore just linked to can you win Super Bowls. Lamar Jackson has not proven he can win Super Bowls, has not proven to be a dominant, dynamic, beat the best of the best caliber quarterback in the playoffs. And I think we're yet again having this conversation about should they pay Lamar, should he be should they make him the highest paid player ever in the NFL? Cause that's what, $60 million a year would be. And my hold up here is that as a front office in the NFL, you have to ask yourself the question, okay, are we going to play the game of, hey, we're going to make this kid the highest paid player in the NFL for 5 minutes, and then a year from now we're going to restructure that deal, and we're going to free up our cap again? Because that's what I feel like teams are doing now. I mean, we have seen it time and time again with these different contracts. You look at the Cowboys, the Chiefs have done it repeatedly. Like, the strategy seems to be, let's appease our superstar, because there's no question about it. Lamar's one of the best players in the league, certainly a franchise quarterback in the league. He's not a Super Bowl winner, in my opinion, but I would much rather have Lamar Jackson than a lot of the mid-level guys, right? Like, you look at some of the questionable franchise-level quarterbacks, I'm certainly taking Lamar Jackson over Tua, right? I'm certainly taking Lamar Jackson over Trevor Lawrence. I'm certainly taking Lamar Jackson over
save Harbaugh, free Harbaugh,
right? So, like, I think that we just throw around franchise quarterback to anybody anymore. And to me, Lamar Jackson is not a pay him the most money the league's ever seen guy. But here's the problem. What are you going to do if you're Baltimore? You don't have another option. The problem is these franchises are held hostage by the market. What, are you not going to pay Lamar Jackson? Are you going to be the front office, the GM?
No, what you're not going to do is win.
Well, but again, I agree with that, but I don't think anybody cares about that.
Yeah, I think that's
all
crazy.
They care about is, let's appease this guy. Let's get past his contract. Let's restructure it. And then let's hold Lamar accountable when we don't win. I mean, I don't know, because the alternative is, and this is where I think the rubber meets the road. The alternative is, don't pay Lamar Jackson, be known as the franchise that let Lamar Jackson go. And then where's he going to go?
But listen, you better have an alternative. But why are you doing this now? That's the thing I don't understand. He just held you hostage.
Yeah. Do we not remember the contract negotiation? Do we not remember the drama and all the cryptic social media stuff? And like, we remember all of that. And I'm telling you guys, this is like, as much as I am 100% on board with this dude is not a Super Bowl winner, I have questions about whether he will ever win a Super Bowl because of his style of play. Now, what I again, just in fairness to him, I do from a spectator point of view, I love watching the guy play quarterback, running around, terrorizing defenses. It's awesome to watch from an entertainment standpoint. This guy is not a proven throw it down the field when you need him to guy. And so we're sitting here once again talking about Lamar Jackson being paid on top of the league when we're still waiting for Dak to get paid again, right? We're still waiting for several of these other guys to get that, hey, I'm the new top dog in the league contract. And yet here's Baltimore getting ahead of the curve, wanting to pay this dude. And I just don't understand it.
I will continue to tell you he can't beat Kansas City and he can't beat Buffalo.
Yeah.
Those are the only two teams in the AFC right now that matter.
That's all that matters.
And the truth is, the Ravens don't matter because Lamar Jackson's not good enough. And when I say not good enough, he is 3-5 in the postseason. He has won, that's 37% of his games, right? He is only completing 60% of his passes. And I would remind you, against the Chiefs last year, he had that game where he went 20 of 37 for 54%. He's also got a game where he went 14 of 29 against the Chargers for 48%. Remember that doozy. He's a 10 touchdown, 7 interception performer. He's just not very good in the postseason.
And let's not forget, what did they do this postseason and last postseason? You had Derrick Henry, right? This past year. Had this huge weapon. Hey, It's Lamar, it's King Henry. We're going to go out and dominate in the playoffs. We're going to road grade teams. And to their credit, in the regular season, they absolutely did that. He turned around, hand that thing off, and Derrick Henry was off to the races. No problem. But then what happened in the postseason? You went away from that, and you put the ball in Lamar's hands, and what happened? Oh, that's right. You didn't win a Super Bowl. Wait, did they win the AFC?
Nope.
No, they didn't win the AFC. Wait, did they beat the Bills and go on to even play in the AFC Championship game? No, that's right. They didn't, right? Because you went away from the game plan, which is precisely my point here. Your game plan, and everybody agrees with this. This is not a two holes hot take or anything wild. Everybody agrees you should have handed it off to Derrick Henry at least 30 times in that playoff game. You didn't do that. You lost. And now here we are in the offseason listening to John Harbaugh and everybody and their mom in the organization evangelize for this guy. And I just don't get it, dude.
With 3 full years and an opt-out left on his contract, you are now renegotiating that deal. And you are going to bump him up to over 20% of your salary cap.
How does that math?
I don't know. I obviously I am not that smart of a guy. I'm not that smart. I'm not paying Lamar $60 million a year, and I understand. Is it hard to replace Lamar? Yes. But do you want regular season Lamar, or do you want somebody who can win in the postseason? And I'm not talking about Kirk Cousins or, well, go get Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that. But your job as an NFL GM is to find a quarterback. And if we've learned anything from the Anthony Richardsons and the Lamars and the Kylers and RG3, running quarterbacks don't win at a high level in the NFL.
Deshaun Watson.
Did you guys hear? Okay, before. Would you pay Lamar Jackson $60 million a year?
And I want you guys really quick, listen to John Harbaugh, dude. Listen to the certainty with which John Harbaugh talks about, hey, when it's his time, he is for sure going to be the highest paid player in the NFL.
Really, with all those guys, I mean, you just got to kind of manage that dance, the salary cap dance. And Lamar is the main part of that because he's the franchise player. So that's a possibility, I think. You know, sooner or later, definitely it's going to happen.
Is it hard to put a value on Lamar?
Yeah, I mean, the value is the top. You know, I mean, when Lamar gets paid, he's going to be the highest paid player in football. You know, just like he was last time. Yeah. I think every contract he signs, probably until he decides to hang up his cleats, he's going to be that guy.
You're out of your damn mind.
Like what?
I'm not here for it. And I'll just tell you, this is a guy who just threatened to hold out. You paid him. He's got 2 years plus an option on his contract.
Was that last offseason? Am I
two
off seasons ago?
And I agree, he had a career year throwing the football. He completed 66% of his passes, 4,172 yards, 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, career year that didn't materialize in the postseason. Again. So it's great. And it's amazing that he's a 2-time MVP. It's amazing that, you know, he was the AP, I think, Offensive Player of the Year this year. Fantastic. I don't want that guy anywhere near the field in a postseason. Sorry. And I know it's tough to find a quarterback with his skill set, but that's your job. That is your job. And if it costs $60 million to keep Lamar, I'm looking somewhere else. And I'll continue to say this about quarterbacks and GMs in the NFL. This is the one position that gets you fired, and you continuously act scared. And when you act out of fear, you never make the right choice.
Yes.
And I whether it's Aaron Rodgers, pick your quarterback controversy. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, any Chicago Bears general manager. Pick your guy. This has routinely happened, and it never ends well. It just never ends well. All right, Fat Jesus. Passing from the pocket is a myth, signed Kyler Murray. But,
actually, it's signed Kyler Murray's ACL.
Well, correct. But I think you got to give Kyler some credit for lifting weights.
Pick it up. Walk back. Down. Walk. One more. Right there.
Look at this.
Look at the intensity.
Look at ass to grass. Kyler Murray getting ass to grass after an ACL surgery.
Look at that form.
Look at that flexibility when he had an ACL surgery. Look at that face. Look at Kyler's intensity.
Get some.
I mean, come on.
I mean, lifting with the linebackers like that is truly incredible.
That is
for a
your
small
franchise
guy like
quarterback,
him.
and we don't in Phoenix where we don't play in Glendale. We play in Glendale, but not Phoenix. Call us Arizona of Anaheim,
where we don't have a hockey team anymore because the Mormons stole them.
Come on, I am constantly amazed that we continue to pay these dudes like this. It is. I will never understand it.
Yeah.
I will. Yet guys like, who is the best team in the AFC last year? Patrick
Chiefs.
Mahomes.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is. But would you have paid Allen?
Yes, I would have paid.
I
Josh
think
Allen.
I would have paid
Because
Josh
what's
Allen.
the difference? Josh Allen is somebody who everyone said, hey, he's got to be more risk averse. Can't turn it over. Okay, well, he stopped doing that. And then what did they say? Well, there's only one step away from him going to the Super Bowl. And people, I feel like, unanimously respect, obviously, what the Chiefs have done and respect the fact that Patrick Mahomes is an all-time great. So at least with Patrick Mahomes and at least with Josh Allen, the Bills can hide under the facade of, well, we're losing to one of the best quarterbacks ever. It is what it is. Maybe we should start looking at Sean McDermott and not so much at Josh Allen, because I'm kind of in the, hey, Josh Allen's a freaking baller camp.
Well,
and just can't get over the hump.
And what's the difference? He completes 66% of his passes in the postseason. He's 25-4 touchdown to interceptions.
But Monty, didn't you just say that Lamar Jackson completes 66% of his passes?
Not in the regular season.
Not in the postseason.
He's a 60% passer in the postseason.
And I also would point out, just want to point this out, Lamar Jackson is most times the reason they lose, right? Was it him or was it Mark Andrews who threw that ball at Buddy's ankles at the goal line?
Should have caught it.
Right? Hit him in the hands, right? He got his hands on it, but maybe if the ball wasn't at his knees and it was at his face mask, we'd be having a different conversation.
Yeah,
right? It's those little things.
I think that Josh Allen's a guy I would trust to stand in the pocket and deliver the football. I don't like he runs so much, and it's interesting that he's the absolute antithesis of the way Lamar plays. He plays with reckless abandon, and it worries me, but yeah. Let's see. You guys. Cubs Athletics home opener at AAA Ballpark tonight.
Wow, that's
Sacramento.
Man, wow.
Sacramento, you're not wrong about that. Big Daddy Magic. Lamar Jackson is not the MVP. It's the beloved Josh Allen. And Josh Allen worth every penny of the $20 gazillion they pay. Well, you're not wrong about that. Johnny Gonzalez, they're called the Baltimore Ravens because that team is currently stuck in the postseason ditch.
Yeah.
I'm curious if you had a pure pocket pass, a Jared Goff, perfect example. Never going to be the reason that your team is elite, not going to carry you. But Jared Goff's a hell of a quarterback.
And he's not going to be the reason you lose.
Would the Ravens have won a Super Bowl by now if Jared Goff was the starting quarterback?
No. I think they would have competed for more AFC championships. I don't think they get to the Super Bowl, though.
Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting.
I think that Sean McDermott limits them, and I think that Sean McDermott being the head coach and them being a defensive-minded organization limits them. I think for the Ravens,
Now you're choosing violence.
yeah, I mean, I think for the Ravens, the problem is for the Ravens, if you threw Jared Goff into that situation, yeah, I mean, I tend to think that, I mean, do you still have the Ravens Bills matchups? I mean, what are we really talking about here? I mean, they've clearly lost, obviously, to the Bills, but it's the whole conversation of, hey, if you've got Jared Goff, in the packet, you're definitely turning around and handing that thing off to King Henry way more than you did in the postseason.
I think that when you look at Lamar Jackson's postseason numbers, and which game do you want? You want the Buffalo Buffalo game, 18 of 25, 254, 2 touchdowns and an interception.
I mean, it's not bad. It's just not great. That's the problem.
Kansas City 2 years ago.
Yeah.
AFC Championship game, 20 of 37, 54%. A touchdown and interception.
Again, pedestrian, not great.
2021 against Buffalo, 14 of 24. No touchdowns and interception. I mean,
so this is a guy that you can book for an interception every single year in the postseason, and he's going to struggle to throw 2 touchdowns.
He just I think he gets lost in the big moment. I
don't know what else it would be, but anyway, I would not be willing to pay this dude $60 million a year. And the problem is, even though I'm not willing to do that, there's not a better alternative.
There's not.
You're not gonna trade or cut him to go to some bum off the street or some retread, or like he is in his prime. You're gonna ride or die with him, and no one's gonna blame you for that.
Correct.
But my God, do I hate that we're talking about $60 million a year for these guys.
Football teams always overpay the quarterbacks. I agree with that. AAR, Lamar Jackson doesn't win, but likely fills up the stadium.
Well, there's
sells
also
jerseys.
a piece of that too.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
There's a piece of that.
Mike Smith, teams are now putting built-in terms for restructuring for cap reasons. Yeah, I just don't like $60 million.
So the question becomes, okay, they're going to sign him to this deal eventually. It's going to get done. And so do you wait, a full NFL calendar year, right? Not like a typical calendar, but like the NFL year. Do you wait until that year is elapsed and then you restructure? Is Lamar signing this contract with the expectation that he's going to restructure that so that they can continue to add talent? Because that's what Mahomes did, right? I mean, that's
the Mahomes.
Yeah, that's what the Mahomes did. They said, hey, let's pay you, but then we're going to restructure so we can add talent, And
I don't have a problem with that. I just
don't love the fact that, because it is a reward on some level, right? I mean, if you're going to make a guy the highest paid player ever in the history of the NFL for 10 minutes before the next guy's up, that's a reward, dude. I mean, you're able to say for the rest of your life that you were the highest paid player in the NFL. I mean, you haven't won a Super Bowl. You haven't beat you haven't beat your peers, the best of your peers, in Mahomes and Josh Allen. Like, what have you really done? I mean, he's improved clearly, but this is not someone that you can definitively say like if I posed a question of do we think Lamar Jackson wins a Super Bowl before he retires? I don't think that's a definitive yes at all, even a little bit.
I don't, and I guess one of your best points is if Lamar Jackson were to leave the Ravens, well, I think Pittsburgh would call him today.
Yeah.
The Jets would call him today. But you're not going to let him walk away. You're going to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
They're never going to trade him. He's going to retire a Raven. I'm not. I would never have paid him $60 million.
That's why I think it's so difficult in the NFL.
Never, ever.
And it's what you always say. You either have a quarterback or you don't. And this whole idea of, hey, well, we got to have a quarterback. What choice do we have? Sucks, because it's not like
it does.
Lamar's not asking for 60. The market demands that he gets 60. Like, you're going to look like a foolish organization if you were to offer Lamar 40, let's say, or some disrespectful ass number, right? If you offer Lamar Jackson 40 and his top dog peers are getting 60 or 57, like, that's a mistake, dude. You can't do that.
And I say Dak Prescott or Lamar Jackson? Almost the same contract if Lamar gets a raise.
Yeah, I have to say, like, I think Dak's got a better chance to win a Super Bowl, but aren't they the same guy?
Haven't won.
Haven't won. Dak's a better passer, pure passer. Lamar
haven't performed in big moments.
And it's funny you bring Dak up in this conversation because allegedly there are now pictures and videos out of Dak being down 30 pounds and he's been in the best shape of his career.
He is shredded.
I mean, he looks shredded. Good, and allegedly he's at 205 and he was at 238. So, like, I don't doubt that Dak's taking this serious and, is getting into the best shape of his career. But I'm not here for Dak is going to run in a similar fashion to Lamar Jackson. He's not doing that. He can run. He can get you 12 yards when you need it. Dak Prescott is a pocket passing quarterback. And, yeah, between the two, I'd probably rather have Dak. But they're basically the same guy when it comes down to it.
Well, and Mike Smith makes a good point. Mike Smith. There are a number of QBs who are not Super Bowl winners that get paid every year.
Dude.
You look at the big numbers. Joe Burrow.
He's been there, though.
Josh Allen. Jordan Love. $55 million a year.
See, like, that's a guy that's purely getting that money because Green Bay is saying, hey, we don't want to play around with the quarterback.
That's what the market bears.
Yeah, that's it.
Trevor Lawrence.
Again.
Tua got tagged by your mama.
Yeah.
Jared,
what's Tua getting paid?
53.1.
Yeah, I mean, come on, dude.
Jared Goff, 53. God damn.
But see, like with Jared Goff, I'm good with that. Jared Goff is a guy that's going to stay healthy. Jared Goff is a guy that can lead your football team. He's a great locker room
where
guy.
is Jalen Hurts on this list?
Yeah, not there. And what did they do? Won a Super Bowl.
Making $51 million a year, but isn't he the first $65 million guy then? Because the number's only going to keep going up.
No, I think I see, and this is the other side of it. If you're these guys that are in current contracts, how long do you wait? If you're Jalen Hurts, you say, hey, I'm at 51. Let's wait till we can get to 65.
But this goes back to like Kirk Cousins in Atlanta.
Yeah.
You're paying Kirk Cousins $46 million, $45 million to sit on the bench. How do you afford that?
Well,
you can't afford it. That's right. But then we got to play a 27th game every year.
Yeah. 18 games.
It's wild to me.
And I think what's also interesting is this like Kirk Cousins is really interesting. You look at the negotiation between Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I still maintain, I don't believe that Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers are negotiating money.
Why bring this up?
Because it's a relevant portion of the conversation, dude.
Why hurt my balls like this?
Number one, I don't know
what we're going to argue over this.
Dude, first of all, I need to bring up, because all the coaches got together in their meetings and in typical fashion. Can we discuss really quick? He ultimately doesn't feel comfortable talking about Aaron Rodgers. This dude is like dripping wet in this interview right here.
He's a free agent. As you guys know, he came to visit last Friday. We had a really productive day. He's been in this thing a long time. I've been in this thing a long time. But it's no substitute for, intimacy and spending time together and getting to know one another in a non-competitive environment. And so that was really good. But I don't have any new updates in terms of where the process is. We'll see where it leads us. I'm really comfortable with being unsettled this time of year, to be quite honest with you. It's about talent acquisition. We got two main means of acquiring talent, free agency and the draft. We multitask. We do both. Those needs that we fulfill in free agency, we do so there, and when we don't, we fulfill it in the draft. And so I just learned over the years that this time of year, although day to day it can be somewhat uncomfortable, it is a process.
Who are you, Sean Miller?
Bro,
Mike.
Dude, Mike, can we get a degree partnership going here?
Somebody want to check that blood pressure on Mike Tomlin,
holy
please?
crap. Do you think this dude's feeling the pressure talking about A-Raj? My God.
So let's get crazy.
Stay hard.
Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf were engaged in pig skinning. That's the most perverse way I could say that.
Yeah, they got their hands on the pigskin and stuff.
They had a throwing session.
Yeah, that's what we're calling it.
That, of course. Oh, it was so good. It was like chemistry already happened. Oh my God.
Please.
Yeah, exactly. It reportedly was perfect and they had
Oh
great
my
chemistry
God.
and they made
Dude.
wild love after the session was over.
They shared some protein powder and creatine on the bench press.
You want to talk about a dark hole?
God. Dude. Bro. Stop.
I'm a head out.
Stop, bro.
But
well, Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf have just unimaginable, just intangible chemistry that we have to have, and it's going to be $800 million a year, and Aaron Rodgers is our guy. Okay.
do you guys believe in love at first sight? Like,
Hot ass.
you just stand back and you look over the formation and you see DK running down the seam and you're like, my God,
Stay hard.
I want it so badly.
Yeah, send his ass on a hot route.
And then you put that ball right in his hands.
Yes,
Anyway.
yes.
We should probably stop. But the point is, Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf apparently have just unbelievable chemistry. And what did you think they were going to say? No, that sucked. Man,
Yeah.
they don't like each other at all. DK's talking about drilling for oil on Danica Patrick, and Aaron can't handle it. And then,
And then Shailene came up, and it was a really difficult
Aaron
thing for
started
Aaron.
calling DK a divergent, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden all hell broke loose. These are all movie references. Anyway, the point is, what did you think they were going to say? Oh, his terrible throwing session. Yeah, we're going to have to look for Kirk Cousins.
3/4 of this is inaccurate.
I'll say this, what I've said for weeks, that certain people, and I don't want to point the finger at anybody.
Yeah, I know.
I don't want to make anybody out to be stupid or dumb on this show, right? Because that's not what I do. I've said for weeks, Aaron Rodgers is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers or the Pirates, one of the two, and that they're going to be Super Bowl contenders. They're better than the Ravens if Aaron Rodgers is the starting quarterback there.
No.
Are they better than the Chiefs? I don't know. I know they're better than the Ravens, and I think they're probably better and deeper defensively than Buffalo. But
Do you buy that Kirk Cousins being spotted at a Cleveland area Chipotle has something to do with the Browns' needs at quarterback?
first of all,
Just a question.
I would at least like to thank Jimmy Haslam, the owner of the Browns, for finally saying that investing in all those washcloths was a complete bust. That bringing in a prolific massage getter guy Jimmy Haslam has admitted that the contract for Deshaun was a complete bust. And I don't know how many people know this. They have paid the entire contract out already. So they are probably going to cut him. He has probably played his last down in the NFL. So do you go from that to overpaying another quarterback in Kirk Cousins? I don't believe for a second that if Kirk Cousins was in town, well, I'm going to go, honey, God bless our little family here, babe. I got to go to Cleveland to meet with the Browns. Think I'm going to head out to Chipotle. No, somehow I'm guessing there's a steakhouse. Or I have a hard time believing that if Captain Kirk was in Cleveland to meet with the Browns, he'd have been seen at a Chipotle.
Via social media.
Come on, guy. He's not that stupid. Well, he probably is. But my point is,
Listen, going from the optics are good here. Going from
the optics,
going from a elite washcloth violator guy to a happily married man with kids.
You mean washcloth vibes?
Yeah, washcloth king. Going from that to, token, married man quarterback is probably good for the organization. But at some point, it might be a good idea to trade up in the draft and get a guy out of the draft at some point. Just saying. I mean, I know that you've got Nick Chubb and, you've got a lot of talent there. But the offense doesn't go unless you've got, a good quarterback.
So, Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins? Pittsburgh. Let's go. Pittsburgh Steelers. Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins?
You have to take Aaron Rodgers.
No, that's not what you said in the pre-show meeting.
It's not what I said, but I think it's true. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to use Kirk Cousins as a backup. Are you
backpedaling right now?
They're going to use him as a leverage point.
Are you going to say something nice about Captain Ayahuasca here?
No. No. I
didn't
think the guy
so.
likes to crap himself in a dark hole and then blame the media.
Leave DK Metcalf out of this.
Yeah.
My point is,
come on.
I am a big believer that Aaron Rodgers is the only fit in Pittsburgh, because if you don't have Aaron Rodgers, I don't know what you do.
Oh, and some people are going as far as to say that it's signed, sealed, and delivered.
I
and
think
they're
it
just
is.
Negotiating.
I think it is. And I think it could be a post-June 1 thing. As long as they've got his name on a piece of paper before the draft, that whether you file it and date it June 2nd, I don't really give a rat's ass.
Yeah.
As long as you have an agreement in place with Aaron Rodgers and you have a clear path in the draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers are gold.
Yeah.
I think your fallback to Aaron Rodgers is likely Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Because I don't even know where else you would go. Right? Brandon Whedon's retired now. So you're not going to be able to.
What about the Red Rocket, dude? Come on.
Do we miss Oak State, James? I think we do. I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to the Steelers, and they're gonna compete to win the AFC.
Yeah.
I think that is Boyd Lake, but DK and Aaron Rodgers, dude, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah, but again, that's what they said with the Jets, right? That's what we got. Oh my God, Aaron Rodgers and all his guys and Devontae. I'm not letting it go, dude. Hell no, I'm not letting it go, dude.
It's the Jets.
So now it's the Jets because it didn't work out, and it couldn't possibly be that it was Aaron. And I know you're going to say, well, he had a great year last year. He played good football. Okay,
he did.
Fine. Go out and prove it again.
What about
Go
Zachy
out and prove it in a better spot? Dude,
Mom who pounded
you're
friends.
Not seriously comparing the great, Jesus Christ incarnate of the NFL to the MILF Hunter.
No, I'm asking if the MILF Hunter was the problem or were the Jets the problem?
No, the MILF Hunter was the problem.
No, I think it was the Jets.
Well,
I think because find me the solution where they've drafted and developed a quarterback.
Listen, dude, you don't get to have it both ways.
I don't have it both ways.
No. I mean, like, for Aaron Rodgers doesn't get to have it both ways. You don't get to say, hey, I'm going to bring in my OC, Nathaniel Can't Hack It. I'm going to bring in Devontae. I'm going to bring in Lazard. I'm going to bring in all my boys. I'm going to rip Diana Rossini a new one, and then it's not going to work out. And then we're going to sit here afterwards and say it was the Jets, not Aaron Rodgers. Now, are the Jets a good organization? No, they're trash. And frankly, I don't know who thought it was a good idea or who thought that the Jets were somehow going to be like there was going to be a genie let out of the bottle that all of a sudden just made them a Super Bowl contender. You're out of your damn mind. At least with the Steelers, you can say, yep, there's tradition here. There's heritage. They've done this before. They've been there. Like, bro, at least with the Steelers, we can tell that story. So I would agree there's a better chance for this to work out. But I'm not going hook, line, and sinker full Gatorade mode and Kool-Aid mode about these two having amazing chemistry. We're like 2 seconds away from Aaron Rodgers being like, yeah, DK ran the wrong route, dude. He should have gone in when he should have, he went in when he should have gone out.
You're just never going to let that go. And I think,
no, I'm not.
I think I have no doubt in my mind anyway. I have no doubt that if Aaron Rodgers goes to Pittsburgh and he chooses to do what he's done so many times, which is come out of the darkness and make a decision, they're going to compete for an AFC championship.
Go ahead.
Oh, fucking God.
Well, Monty, he needs a little bit of a shave, man. Monty, he needs to shave.
He's been in a dark hole for a long time, or at least that's what DK said. My point is,
dude,
I think, what?
Bro,
allegedly, what?
He allegedly did what he did.
He did what he did.
No.
All I'm saying is, all right, primetime son, Shador, you're talking about. Okay. Does Buddy's day-to-day look uncomfortable? It does.
Bro, is he not sweating his ass off?
He is. No doubt about it. When his DK met his calf.
See what he did there? Met his calf. Right. It all kind of works together.
He knew he would playing for the Steelers with Mason
and this
Rudolph.
is the other thing that I love too. Now we're getting reporting. I can't remember who it was. I
This
should
is
have
Diana
grabbed it.
Rossini.
Saying, oh yeah, the Steelers are comfortable with Mason Rudolph as their starter.
No,
And all I
not.
have to say is my ass.
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
No, they're not. Yeah, and I love how if you want to be a Steeler, great. If not, pound sand. Where's all that talk now? Capazzo, whoa, we need not to talk about sticky washcloth guy in combination with darkness retreat dill hole. Aaron Rodgers is now darkness retreat dill hole.
Well, you would know. You watched the documentary, right?
Okay. What is the documentary
big documentary
got to do with this?
Because you're supporting, buddy.
No, I'm not.
You're watching this documentary, dude.
As an adult who's capable of free thought, no.
I just thought that you would appreciate me treating you like an adult.
No. Capazzo, sorry, Jake. The Jets have a track record of ruining quarterback careers.
Come on.
Loving me some Aaron Raccoon found footage. Yes, exactly right.
Yes.
Jakey Two Shakes is saying my ass afternoon show making him sassy with the smiles and glory holes talk.
Well,
suckmyass.com.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's fine.
Yeah, bro.
All I'm saying is I am very clear here. You really disagree that if they put Aaron Rodgers on that team, you don't think they compete?
I don't think it's just a rubber stamp it. They can compete for a Super Bowl. I think that they're definitely a playoff team, goes without saying. The question is, can you obviously, can you get through the conference? I think that's the single biggest question, man. It's a really difficult division. You've got teams out there. I mean, hell, look who we've talked about today, right? Obviously the Ravens, you've got 3 teams that are standing in your way. So I just think it's hasty to say, hey, if they put him on the Steelers, they can go out and compete for a Super Bowl. I think
worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario, I think they're a 10-win team. Worst case scenario.
Okay, so they're in the playoffs.
They're in the playoffs for sure. But my question is, for Aaron,
and you think that's the worst case scenario?
I think that's worst case scenario, that they're a grinded out 10-win team, and they do what the Cowboys do, where they flame out in the first playoff game they play, whatever round that's in, right? But best case scenario, I think you're playing on championship weekend. But it's something where I need to see it to believe it. I want to. Because what's the difference between the Jets and the Steelers, as everyone's pointing out? Well, with the Steelers, I think we have real, tangible, evidence-based expectations, right? I mean, you can look at the organization and you can say, this is a winning organization. You may not like it, but 10 wins and over 500 happens almost on a yearly basis.
I would agree.
Right? So this is an organization that has shown that they know, culturally speaking, people in the building speaking, they know how to create a winning environment.
And you think that there is just no doubt. I don't know. Here's what I'll say. I think the worst case scenario is Aaron Rodgers gets hurt in training camp. He never plays for them. Career's over. Worst case scenario.
Wow.
Best case scenario, he signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They compete in the AFC Championship game, and then all things are possible at that point.
Right.
I think that's your best case scenario. And I think in fact, I will say, I think that's likely, because if you look at the Buffalo Bills, I don't think they're as good. I really don't think they're as good as the Pittsburgh Steelers if Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback. And I don't even feel like what I'm saying is a stretch. I don't think it's being sensational. I think plain and simple, Aaron Rodgers still has a lot of football left in the tank. You don't have to like it, and I know a lot of people don't.
Yeah, you just believe in him a lot more, and I think that's the difference.
Because I saw it on the field last year on a really bad team.
Yeah.
On a really bad team. Aaron Rodgers was a really good quarterback on a bad team. And I'm happy, as I always do, to drop the hammer on your not knowing ass and talk about quarterback rankings. Because, again, everybody tends to forget, oh, my God, Justin Herbert and Brock Purdy, amazing quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers had a better season than both of those guys. And you look at, oh, my God, Patrick Mahomes, best quarterback. that everybody's ever seen. Aaron Rodgers, 3,897 yards. Patrick Mahomes, 3,928. And Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable. And he is. And he is. I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is better than Patrick Mahomes. But what I'm telling you is Aaron Rodgers had a hell of a year last year and showed he could still play. And nobody seems to remember he had 28 touchdowns against only 11 picks.
But where does it come into the conversation that Patrick Mahomes went to the Super Bowl?
On a much better
with those
team.
Same stats.
On a much better team.
Okay.
On a much better team.
But what happened to the defense is great. And what happened to Garrett Wilson? And
Garrett Wilson, I think, has been a wild card his entire time. And I think, look, the Jets defense wasn't bad. Situationally, they were terrible. They were poorly coached. That was the single biggest problem. But you look at the numbers, and this is my only point.
yeah, I know the numbers are similar.
Aaron Rodgers had 28 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes had 26. Patrick's the greatest. Aaron's old and can't do it anymore because he likes deep, dark holes.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, you put Aaron Rodgers on the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's an AFC championship team.
Yeah, it's possible.
All things being
it's
equal,
possible.
dude doesn't get hurt.
I can meet you in the middle at AFC championship team. I will never say that right now, sitting here today, that they're going to compete for a Super Bowl. I think he's got enough left in the tank to take you to the playoffs, to lead a team. But the other thing that scares me is we don't know. Obviously, with any team, take Aaron out of it. Any NFL team is going to go through random ass stuff during the season. You never know what's going to happen. You like whether it's injuries, media drama, like who the hell knows, right?
There'll be media drama. There's no doubt.
There's no question. And so the only question is, and this gets back to the point I was making about culture is the culture in the Steelers facility and with that organization and its people strong enough to withstand the Aaron Rodgers, circus might be strong, but distraction, the Aaron Rodgers stuff that just seemingly happens. I don't even know. Sometimes I don't even know that Aaron Rodgers is trying to manifest it. I just think it happens. And then he can't help himself. He loves playing the game with the media. And so we wind up talking about it. And that's, I think, the single, excluding injury. Injury is always the biggest thing in the NFL. But outside of that to me is the biggest thing that could hold them back is just that drama and not being able to get by that.
Okay. Eric Wasikowski says Ewers to Cleveland. That's the route I would go. I would not go and get Kirk Cousins. I would not. I would trade up and draft the best available quarterback if you need to trade up.
Yeah.
Because again, I look at the latest mock drafts, and there's a whole lot of belief that some of the best quarterbacks are going to be available. Bill Barnwell at ESPN just put out a mock draft that's got the Cleveland Browns trying to get to number 2. And I don't know. I think this draft, there has to be a flurry of trades, right? I mean,
there's got to be.
The Browns are number 2, and they're trying to get their best available quarterback at number 2. And if you are the Cleveland Browns and you are number 2, because I think we all agree, Cam Ward's going number 1.
Yeah.
If you're the Cleveland Browns, who are you taking number 2? Is it Shedeur? I probably would take Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders. And I would take Shedeur. I wouldn't have a second doubt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd move on with my life.
Yeah.
And he'd be my franchise quarterback, and we'd develop him and grow him. It's the most accurate passer in college football. Not
curious.
close.
I'm curious where they're at on Stefanski. Like,
I think Kevin
I don't doubt
Stefanski,
Stefanski, but
he is an elite.
You know.
He is an elite. He is an elite. Absolutely an elite.
I mean,
head coach,
bro. It really begs the question. Now that ownership has admitted they made a mistake there with Deshaun, because remember the speculation in the middle of the season. Hey, like ownership's all about Deshaun. Stefanski allegedly was not about Deshaun. Didn't want to play him. Didn't like him or whatever. Now that they've moved on from that, let's say you do get Shedeur. I wonder, and I'm curious what the leash is with Stefanski and that group to go ahead and make him good and get the Browns back on the playoffs. Because again, I guess today is just that division's day on the show. But I that division's loaded, bro. I mean, even if you do get Shador, you're talking about. I mean, what do you need to be 10, 11 wins at least?
But if you look at the Browns, the Deshaun Watson contract is terrible. But why does nobody talk about the draft compensation they gave up for the right to blow that money? Because you guys understand that it turned into Jordan Davis, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Brian Thomas Jr.
Jesus. Dude.
I mean, that's the real loss for Cleveland is the draft compensation they gave up, the 3 1s, right? So you now have a chance at the number 2 pick in the draft to get a franchise career Cleveland Brown. That's got, in my opinion, it's got to be Shador Sanders. Well, and when's the last time you had a franchise quarterback? Even Baker Mayfield. I don't know the answer to that. And for once, and I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, the Giants seem to be going in a direction that would tell you they're going to make a good decision at 3. With Danny Dimes off the roster now in Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones will compete for the starting job.
What do those two have in common? The 2 worst completion percentages in the league.
Right, but Daniel Jones can play in this league. Anthony Richardson cannot. But my point is, Cleveland ought to draft a quarterback.
I agree.
And
if it goes Cam, Shador, and then the Giants are sitting there, I mean, I think you have to take Jackson Dart.
I would agree with that.
But then I also think about, okay, well, if you've got, what do they have? Drew Lock is their backup, I think. Is that I can't remember. I think that's correct. You got Drew Lock on your bench as your backup, and you get, you go ahead and get Travis Hunter and pair him up with Malik. I mean, that's a crazy wide receiver room right there.
I don't know what you do if you're the Giants or the Browns and you don't draft a quarterback.
Yeah, it's a great question.
Because who's the 2 in Cleveland? Kenny Pickett, right?
I think.
I don't know. You don't have starting. Again, you guys, is it not amazing to you that here we are on March 31st and multiple NFL franchises don't have starting quarterbacks?
Here again, let's retread it. $60 million for Lamar, or you want to have the free agent Danny Dimes conversation. I mean that's your proposition as an ownership group right now. Like you're having to sit here and say, well, it's really not much of a decision. We're going to pay Lamar. We're going to pay him $60 million a year. We're going to have John Harbaugh, basically championing that message.
Any doubt? But any doubt why the Giants went out and did what they did with Jameis and Russ?
No, I don't think there's any doubt. No.
I could see them going and getting Travis. I don't know.
I think that has to be the play.
I think it's going to be very interesting. They were in on Aaron Rodgers until they weren't. Johnny Gonzalez. Steelers are comfortable with starting stadium guy and IPF connoisseur James if they miss out on the 30 available quarterbacks. I believe that's true. Capazzo. Capazzo and the Jeezy. Eric, do they have a flock of sheep in Cleveland for yours? Shout a Texas Pro Days. Everyone shows out. Ewers throwing dimes to his wide receivers and tight ends, and their wide receivers running like the wind. Mike Smith. Wait, I thought we measured on Super Bowls. Unless we are not narratives, they are a mother. Well, if we're talking about all time and legacies, yeah, I think you have to look at that. I don't think that changes at all. Mike Smith kind of goes back to those East Coast soccer writers just looking at stats or scores. Could be. I think it depends on the conversation you're having. That's what I think. Eric Wasikowski. Lions could trade up and get Carter from Penn State. Why would you do that? Yeah. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
The Lions situation is difficult because it's philosophical. No one's going to blame you for trading up to get Abdul Carter. At the same time, though, I completely agree. Why would you do that? Because ultimately, what you need to do is you need to make sure that your offense is still good enough to keep you in games after losing, Ben Johnson. And I think, it goes without saying that the Lions have always prided themselves on defense, and I feel like they're going to be fine defensively. It'd be nice to have another edge rusher for sure. I don't think you can have too many, but ultimately you got to be able to score enough in that division. I mean, that division's going to be a problem with points. I mean, I'm no JJ McCarthy supporter at all, but he's got the best wide receiver in the league on his team. And again, one thing he has shown is that if you give him a system that he can lean on, he'll make the throw that you need him to make. He's just not going to be the guy that goes out and wins the game with his head.
And if you're the Lions and you're making a trade, it's for Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah. Which allegedly the Bengals are going to go out and get done, but we'll see.
I mean, and if you want to pay Trey $35 million a year, because I think that's probably
a wild ass number.
That's probably what it would take. But I mean, you look up and down the first round, how many of these teams need to make a trade? I think almost all of them. You could make an argument, especially once you get past the Raiders at 6. Like I could easily see the Bears trading up to the Raiders at 6. And either taking Ashton Ginty or Abdul Carter, like your best defensive edge.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. That's what fits. I can look at the Jets. The Jets need a tight end. Go get Kyle Pitts so the Falcons can get up to 7.
Yeah.
Right. Or like you look at Carolina, New Orleans, the Bears in any number of scenarios trading up at 10. San Francisco, certainly. This Brock Purdy contract, this Brandon Ayuk disaster in San Francisco. Brandon Ayuk's contract, that's an anvil around your salary cap. It was, and we argued over this on the show.
Yeah,
you should have never signed him to that deal.
Yeah, we did.
Should have never signed him to that deal.
I mean, is it because remember the consequences. If you don't sign him to the deal, they would go through this long negotiation. We all remember the Jaden Daniels, Brandon Ayuk video.
Yeah.
We remember that conversation, and, Brandon, without explicitly saying it, hinting at going to Washington, I think that Washington's a great team. They've obviously shown a lot of talent in year one with him and a lot of ability. But if you're the 49ers, I mean, it's really difficult to just sit there and be like, yeah, we're just going to let him go. No problem. But now here you are, once again, having another conversation. Hey, what are we willing to pay Brandon? And it's drama in that organization. And it turns out Christian McCaffrey is a human being and does get hurt still.
Wait, what?
I know, dude. It's shocking.
Why do you say stupid stuff?
I know, dude. It's truly,
I think that's HIPAA.
Didn't one of our listeners say you have a punchable face because you say stupid stuff?
Yes, that's. I believe that's a direct quote.
I believe that. Yeah. Make sure if you're one of the over 1,000 people watching the show right now, good afternoon. If you're on YouTube, please hit the like button. That really helps the channel grow. Facebook,
X.
Please go ahead and come on over to YouTube. Big announcement coming about the audio side of the show, our podcast that a lot of people have asked about. We have a huge podcast deal coming that we will announce in the coming weeks because I want you to be able to go and get it when we announce it. But a lot going on. Come over to YouTube, hit the like button, and subscribe to the channel right now. If you have not hit the like button and you're watching on YouTube, please do so now as we talk the NFL on the Monty Show, presented by our friends at The Advocates, theadvocates.com. Speaking of NFL, Tom Brady has a new girlfriend. Jake was very excited about this because he hates Gisele Bündchen for what she did to TB12. We reveal the new hottie with Tommy after this from The Advocates.
You're not just a case. You're not just a client. You're a person, and you deserve support. You deserve simplicity. You deserve communication. When you hire an attorney, you deserve clear, risk-free advice that guides you to the best possible outcome in your injury case. And that's exactly what the Advocates have been providing for over 30 years. After your accident, you deserve closure. You deserve compassion. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve an advocate.